Hello fellow photographers, welcome to another episode of the Planit Photographer's video tutorial. In this video tutorial, I will show you how to use the sequence and eclipse feature. Let's swipe down from the title bar or the Eclipses pager to see the Eclipses page chooser. Under the special interest category, there is a sequence and eclipse. You can tap here to go to the page, or you can tap the green indicator here directly to go to the page. On the sequence page, you see there is a button to choose the sun sequence or moon sequence. And here is the total duration that you will stay there to take the picture, and the 10 minutes is the interval between two shots. In other words, you will stay there for 50 minutes, and every 10 minutes to take a photo, you end up with 6 photos. And here is the starting time, and here is the ending time. And over here, you can see the sun position change from here to there, and you can tap the next button to see each one of them. If I change to the moon sequence, you see the moon position change. Most importantly, if you sweep to the focal length, where you can see the position change of the moon. This way, if you want to take a sequence, you know where the moon starts and where the moon ends, then you have a way to create a composition inside the planet. And of course, if the sun or the moon doesn't change, it probably doesn't make sense to take a sequence. When will it change? During a lunar eclipse or a solar eclipse? That's why I will combine these two features together to talk about it. So before I do that, I'll show you some examples. Here, I want to show a website called Mr. Eclipse. And who is Mr. Eclipse? It's Fred Espelog. He's the one who created all the algorithm for the eclipse. No matter the solar eclipse or the lunar eclipse, even NASA used his algorithm. Planit used his algorithm as well. On his website, there is a one picture that he's taken during a total lunar eclipse in Maui, and that's in 2000, July 16. So I'll use this one as an example to show you why he picked this location and what kind of composition was in his mind when he takes this kind of pictures. So first, let's search for Maui. Well, doesn't matter where we're gonna put it right now, so I just randomly put the location over here. I set the camera location. Then I'll switch to the eclipse page to select the 2000. So this is the year 2000, and it's a total lunar eclipse. In the eclipse page, the small text here is the type of the eclipse globally. And this text here is the eclipse type locally. Right now, my camera location was at Maui. That's why it says it's total eclipse at Maui. And here's the date, and here's the UMBA magnitude, and it's the Penumbra magnitude. And you can tap here to see what does magnitude mean here. And on the second row, there is 7 different times. And that's starting from the Penumbra beginning. This is Penumbra end. Penumbra eclipse starts when the moon was in the penumbra of the Earth. In that case, the moon will become dimmer, but it's not very obvious. That's why we're not interested in shooting anything from this period of time. We want to shoot when the partial eclipse starts. So partial eclipse starts when the UMBA covers the moon. You can non-press here to set the current time to 1:58 a.m. Then you can go back to the sequence page and tap this button, then use the current time as starting time. Now the time is 1:58. Then you come back to the eclipse again, then non-press on the partial end. So from here to here, that's a period of time we will take picture. Now you come back to use the current time as the ending time. So now you see the eclipse starting from 5:58 and ending at 4:54. And over here is same. And these two time change will affect the time-lapse page as well. You can see time change as well. And it tells you need a total duration 3 hours 56 minutes. If you take 10 minutes between each shot, you'll end up with 24 shots. And now we can visualize what the shape look like. You tap here, switch to the focal length mode, then you tap the viewfinder, and now you see it. So if you compare this picture with the eclipse picture that Mr. Fred S-Block took, that's pretty much the same. So now maybe you understand why he chose Maui. If you look at here, the eclipse ends right over here. That's just above the horizon. So it's a perfect timing. You capture the whole sequence, yet it's still low enough. People like to take eclipse when they are low on the horizon. This way they can combine with the foreground. That's why Mr. S-Block uses this location. This way they get the whole sequence and they want as low as possible. Then you can look at this composition and decide where you're gonna find a good foreground to create a nice composition. And also keep in mind that, as I said, the time lapse is the same starting and ending time. So right now, on one hand, you can see the whole sequence in one picture. And also if you want to use a time lapse, you can do that as well. You can come here, you just press a play, and you can see. It's kind of slow. Let's make it 30 seconds. This way it'll run faster. Here's another interesting thing about the sequence. I don't know if you have ever heard of something called ananama. So you can see this is ananama. They basically taking picture every day at the same time. Then you combine all the pictures together into one photo. You'll realize the sun was actually form a very nice 8 shape like that. And you can simulate that in the Planit. So to do that, you switch to the sun sequence, and over here, the interval you need to change to anything bigger than 1 day. So let's use 7 days as an example here. Set the starting ending date to be this year, and I take picture from 8 a.m. in the morning. And here's a photo I can get. And you can see that's a shape. That's a whole year. But you may wonder how are we gonna use that? Well, one example you can use is you can combine that with a nice foreground. I want to use New York City as an example here. New York. That's where I have the high buildings. So then maybe somewhere over here, let's see. Yeah, maybe over here, I set my camera location. And I change the time to be in the morning, 8 a.m. in the morning, and then tap here to see it. You can see here's the skyline of New York City, and you got a nice A shape on top of it. So if you take a picture for a whole year, you will get this picture. That's called ananama, and that's how you can simulate it in the viewfinder. Next, I will talk about the eclipse feature in more details. I use this year's total solar eclipse as example here. That's 2017, August 21st. Whenever you select the total eclipse of this century, you will see an overlay that shows some characteristic of this solar eclipse. In the middle of it, you will see a blue line and a shadow. This shadow here is a stripe that is called the total eclipse zone, because if you are inside this eclipse zone, you will see a total eclipse. If your camera position is outside, you will not see a total eclipse, you will see a partial solar eclipse. That's why it shows here. But anything inside here will be a total eclipse. And if the total eclipse, you will see a depth. The depth means how far away you're from the center line. And if I zoom in here, you can see I'm very close to the blue line, which is center line. And if you're on the blue line, it will be 100%. Let me zoom in here, and you can see it will become 100%. And if you're at the edge of the zone, over here, it will be close to 0%. And if it's outside, that value will gone. And the magnitude meaning how many percent of the sun will be covered. In this case, 99%, it's almost covered. And there are also some green line here. You can see there's a green line. Each one is 20%. So let's say if I move somewhere over here, that'll be close to 80%. 60%, 40%, 20%. That means the moon, if your camera position is over here, the sun will be 20% covered by the moon. And if you're over here, it will be 0%. And outside, you cannot see the eclipse at all. And on the left and the right, you can also see some color line. And if your camera location is on this color line, it means when the eclipse starts, see, you got the partial eclipse begin, and it's at the horizon. So if you want to capture the eclipse starts when the sun rises, look for this side, and that's position will be. And if you look for total solar eclipse during the sunrise, and you select this one, so that's the max one is 0 point is at the horizon, and here that's a partial eclipse ends will be at the horizon, but you cannot see the whole sequence. In other words, if you want to have a foreground that works with a total solar eclipse, try to find a position between this area. In this solar eclipse, it's at the ocean, so it will be very hard to do anything about it. But in some solar eclipse, when this is on the land, you can find the location you want it. And if you want to capture the whole sequence, you're looking for a position from here all the way to there. On this location, when the total solar eclipse ends, it will be on the sunset time. So you can see here. This is the total solar eclipse max during the sunset, but it can only capture half of it because the other half will be under the horizon. In this eclipse, you will see, because it is in the middle, that's why the sun will be pretty high on the sky. So if you look at anywhere in the Oregon, you can see the sun elevation was from 27 degree all the way to 51 degree. So that's considered very high on the sky. You can also simulate it. So let's say I long press here, and you can see here there's a moon, that is sun was covered by the moon. And you can switch to the viewfinder mode to take a look. So you can see that's where it is. You can zoom all the way in, maybe use a long telephoto lens, a 500mm telephoto lens to see it. That's being full covered. You can also simulate the whole process. You can non-press here, and you can say play. You can say play, then it will simulate how the moon moves in and cover the sun. Right now it's a full eclipse. And this is all partial eclipse. That's when the partial eclipse ends. You can also use a wide angle lens if you want to capture the whole sequence. That's where you switch to maybe, I don't know yet, but maybe a 24mm lens. What focal length you need to use to capture the whole sequence? That's where you need the sequence feature again. Let's non-press on the beginning, tap here. Let me switch to the 10 minutes mode. Select what will be sun sequence. I tap here to use the current time and starting time, which is the same thing I did before. Then coming back here, non-press all the partial ends, come back, select the current time and the ending time. So you tell me the whole eclipse is 2 hours, 33 minutes. If the interval is 10 minutes, it will be end up with 16 shots. And over here, you can see the whole sequence of the sun during the solar eclipse. And then you can decide what kind of focal length you want to use. And if you want to have foreground, you probably need a wider one. Maybe 18mm lens, yeah, that works. So you have a foreground and the sun. But it's simply, as I said, this time the sunlight will be pretty high. So if you want anywhere in the ocean, that'll be easier. Let's say I want to switch to the ocean and maybe right here. Then come back to the sequence mode. You see that's the starting of the solar eclipse. That's the end of solar eclipse. That will be max. So it will be no on the ground in this case. And you can also simulate the whole sequence use the time-lapse feature. So in this case, you can see these three features actually can work together: the time-lapse, the sequence, and the eclipse. all three pages together. That's why we put three of them at the same near each other. This way you can easily swap or tap directly to go to each page. When you use the solid page, the most important thing is you need to find a good location. And in this case, you can use this map, try to find a zoom that near it. So you can zoom all the way in to still see the blue line. Then you can find a perfect location that has the longest total solar eclipse. So along this line. All right, that's the end of this video tutorial. Thanks for watching. Until next time.